I'll go ahead and tell y'all in the beginning, your girl is moving to Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Rena here. Thank you so much for being here. If you are coming back, welcome back. And if you are new, hi, my name is Tarina. I make faith-based content, lifestyle vlogs, and transformational videos because your girl is on what? A weight loss journey. And I am so glad that you are here. I would like if we take a second just to make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because I saw somewhere that it said that 70% of y'all are not subscribed. I'm just waiting to see where we do that at, because it ain't over here. We're friends, we're homies, we're besties. Hit that subscribe button and like this video in advance because it helps your girl out so much. In this video, we're going to be talking about how your girl is moving. Bye LA, sayonara. Stop it! Stop. I'm gonna miss you, but I'm not at the same time, not with these $7 gas prices. Absolutely not. So I guess I'll go ahead and tell y'all in the beginning, your girl is moving to, drumroll please, Atlanta. Your girl's gonna be in Atlanta. I know y'all full, but make room. Excuse me, party of three coming through. So yes, your girl's gonna head down to Atlanta. And let me tell you about this story on how we got here. Okay, so boom. I have family in Atlanta. My first cousins moved down to Atlanta when they were in like junior high and high school. And we grew up really, really close. We all grew up under my grandma. So when they moved, it was like, oh, we must never mind. Like, that's how it felt. So I always in the back of my mind been like, I just want to get the gang back together, you know? But then my niece was born. You know how black people do.
That is my cousin's baby, but we grew up like brothers and sisters, and I'm old enough to be her auntie, so guess what I am?
Her auntie, period. So when she was born, that was my first trip to Atlanta. I went with my grandmother, and we were all out there, one big happy family again, and we were just reunited, and it felt so good. We were reunited, and it felt amazing, and I was just riding on the high of my family being back together, and I was like, you know what? Atlanta might have to be a move. I was just really in the mindset of being in Atlanta and being like, I don't want to go back to LA. I got back home, some time passed, and I had to take a second to reassess, and I was like, do I like Atlanta or do I just miss my family? Have you ever been like automatically go on a trip and people be like, did you have fun? And you be like, yeah, I had a great time. And then the more you talk about it, you be like, actually, that trip kind of sucked, right? Like, so I had that moment where I was just like, oh my God, I love it. I got to get back out there. I got to get this. I got to go, to really talking about it, thinking about it, and being like, I don't think I like Atlanta. I was like, you know what? Atlanta it just didn't feel like it was a fit anymore. So now we're gonna fast forward to 2020. I was filming a video for YouTube. It was my farewell to 2020 video where I was just really talking about my hopes and dreams and aspirations for 2021 and saying goodbye to the chaos of 2020. In that beginning of that video, I do like a quick montage where I'm just doing like my morning routine. I'm like tidying up my room. I'm turning on my music to get in the vibe, and I'm doing my makeup, and it's just a quick little vibe, right? So in that video, I have a moment where I was gonna record myself praying and getting ready for that day. As I'm about to pray, God is like, excuse me, I respect your art form and what you're doing here, but while you're recording yourself about to pray, I need you to really pay attention to what I'm about to say, because I'm about to put some game on you and I'm about to give you a word for your life. I was like, okay. So I stopped recording, and God literally gave me 2 pages worth of words for my life. Like, I wasn't checking for this word. I wasn't fasting. I wasn't asking for like guidance at the time. But God just really stepped in and gave me what I needed, because little did I know that while I'm sitting here about to say goodbye to 2020, God is like, let me actually give you this word, because what you don't know is 2021 is actually the storm. Like 2020 was just the rain, right? So God gave me this, he downloaded into me this huge, like 2 pages worth of just words for my life, and all of these random one-liners about, hey, this about your grandma, hey, this about your papa, this about your mother, this about your children, this about your jobs, this about your money. And he just poured into me, right? And in the middle of one of those things, he told me, you will be moved. you will be kept. And I'm like, okay, I'm not mad about this. I will be moved, but I will be kept. So, quick background really quickly. I have always grown up an apartment girl. I grew up in apartments. The only home I knew was my grandmother's house. My dad was in apartments. My mom was in apartments. That was all I know. That's all I strove for. This was my plan for my life. I'm gonna get me a man. We gonna get married. I'm gonna get me an apartment. I'm gonna get a 9-to-5 job, and I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna have his babies, and we just gonna live happily ever after in our apartment. That was all I wanted out of life. I never wanted or desired home ownership. But in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, God dropped the urge to own a home into my heart. He dropped it in my spirit. And the reason I say that God did that is because I literally had no desire to own a home whatsoever. I would literally see like the other millennials getting houses, and I'd be like, that's good for you, girl. Yes, do it, sis. Come on, bro. Look at this couple. Yes, y'all are doing it. But nothing in me was ever like, I want to own a home. Never. I was not inspired by other people. I was not influenced by other people. My environment wasn't conducive to that desire. I just didn't want it. And I was like, okay, clearly this is a God thing. So let me foster this and let me steward this. And I started to look at homes all over America. Started looking up the job rates. I started looking up rates, places that's good for Black people, Black single mothers. Because I was like, first off, out of nowhere, I want to own a home. I'm still single in these streets. So how am I going to own a home by myself? I can't do that in LA. So I looked up places where it's feasible and smart, where a lot of Black mothers own homes. I started looking at where, the careers are popping and where it's like the next jump off city. And Houston was at the top of the motherfucking list. And I was like, that's the move. So fast forward back to 2020, at the very end of 2020, when God gave me that message of being like, hey, you're going to be moved. You're going to be kept. It automatically was like, bing! Oh, it makes sense. God is okay with the move. I'm going to be out in Houston. I'm going to be doing my thing. I'm going to have my house. I'm going to be living it up. Hey, perfect. Now we enter into the demon that I call 2021. At the end of 2020, my grandpa was already getting progressively sick, right? So in the word that God gave me, God told me that he will pass on. I was just like, you know what, God, I'm starting to prepare my heart for it. That makes sense. And sure enough, shortly after his birthday, my pawpaw passed away. Then after that, my grandmother became sick. And in that, God gave me a word about my grandmother becoming sick before we even knew she was sick. So I was just like, okay, so all of these things that God told me would happen are happening. God gave me a word about my daughter that actually came to pass. God gave me a word about my son that actually came to pass. So I'm looking like, God, that really is you, huh? I'm like, I knew it was you, but I knew it was him because he was confirming things left and right, right? So the storm really was 2021. And all of these things are happening. And I'm so glad that God really, really, really gave me that message for my life, because he knew that all I would have to hang on to in 2021 was him. And without that word that he gave me at the end of 2020, your girl would have been either here, out in somebody's cemetery. Your girl would have been in somebody's mental health institution. The only way that I literally stayed sane was by holding on to the word that God gave me, right? So all throughout the process of, my grandmother being sick, she got sick around May. God is still fostering and stewarding this desire of this move, the thought of, you're going to be moved and you're going to be kept. Those words just kept playing in the background of my mind. And I brought it to my grandma's attention. One day we were at the hospital, one of her first visits to the hospital. This is back when we thought it was like a gallbladder issue. We had no idea that it was cancer. I told her, I was like, Grandma, God put it in me that I'm going to move. And she was like, oh, okay. Where are you going? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I have no idea. And my mom is like, well, I seriously doubt that you're going to be moving anywhere, you know, when your grandma's not feeling well. And I was like, you're right. I'm not going to go. I don't want to go anywhere without, you know, grandma being 100% well. But I was like, if God told me that I'm going to move, I'm going to have to move when God tells me to move. And my grandma was like, I know that's right. If you know my grandma, that was her famous line. During that phase around May through to June, I had the thought in the back of my head, but my grandma wasn't doing well and I really didn't want to move. But I was like, if you move me, I will go. I'm not going to be out of your will. So my grandmother passed, and with my grandmother passing, my dad also got clearance from God, his wife, his marriage, his family, and everything like that he was moving to Austin, Texas. So my dad was in town for my grandmother's funeral, and then like the following couple of weeks, he moved out to Austin. Now grandma's gone. I'm really ready to go. God, I'm checking back in. I know we talked about Atlanta before, but I need to see, like, God, are you okay with me going to Houston? Okay, God, my dad is in Austin. Are you okay with me going to Austin? Okay, God, I'm open to other options, you know, maybe like North Carolina. I hear it's booming out there. What about that? Okay, I got family in DC. You know, I got a situation that'll work out there. Maybe DC is my people's out there. You know, I could make that happen. What about DC? Okay, so nothing. So I'm gonna be moved, but I'm gonna be kept, but you're not telling me. Okay, silence. So let's fast forward from the summer of 2021 to now November 2021. My mom said that God told her she's gonna move. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, yay for my mom, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, God, if you tell her where she going before you tell me where I'm going, and you told me in 2020, we got beef. So we had beef. Because God sure enough told her. He told her that she's going to be in Dallas. So at the end of 2021, my mom goes and does a trip to Dallas. And she's like, yep, I'm going to Dallas. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's why God didn't tell me where I was going, because he needed to tell my mom first, because maybe I'm going to Dallas with my mom. Okay. So we're in November. I'm thinking this makes sense. Even if I still do go to Houston, you know, I'll be in Houston. It's only a few hours away from Austin. It's only a few hours away from Dallas. I'm still in the city doing my own thing, but you know, I'm still close to my parents. It's still a family atmosphere, still a family environment. We still within arm's reach. You know what I'm saying? Houston, it is still radio silence from God. So we're in November, like I said, and it's our family's first Thanksgiving without my grandparents. We grew up a really, really, really close-knit family. We always spent every holiday together. Even when my cousins were in Atlanta, they would still fly out so we could be together. So Thanksgiving was gonna be hard enough without them. There's no way we could have done it without each other. So we are all like, okay, it's less of us in LA than it is in Atlanta. So let's fly to Atlanta to be with our family. Cool. So we're planning everything. And while I'm in the middle of planning all of these things, like searching up flights and, ooh, this, God was like, you're going to Atlanta. Who? Them? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to intercede your word from God, sis. God said, you're moving to Atlanta. Because we talked about this. I must be interceding somebody's word from God, because it can't be mine. Because I'm going to Houston. So I took it to my accountability partner, because I couldn't deny it, because it kept being stronger and stronger. And I was like, girl, I think that God want me to go to Atlanta. And she was like, think you're going to Atlanta? I'm like, first off, I know we're accountability partners and whatnot, but you're my friend, be on my side. You know I don't want to go to Atlanta. You know I want to be in Houston. And she like, and I also know that you're not going to disobey God. So if he tell you to go to Atlanta, I will come visit you in Atlanta. The prayer that we prayed was, God, if Atlanta is for me, you already know that my heart is cold and turned against it. You shift my heart towards it. Make me love it. Make me fall in love for it, and make your presence so thick there that it will be undeniable that this is the next move for me. So I go to little funky Atlanta for Thanksgiving. I had a great time. I had a phenomenal time. I saw more of the city. I started to fall in love with the city. We really all leaned on each other during that time. It felt good to smile without being sad. It felt good to dance and laugh and just feel light, right? And I just really feel God's presence with me. God is really with me when I'm just doing my normal drives, just running quick errands for Thanksgiving. And God is really just stewarding me into this love for this city, for these different places, these different environments. And I'm like, you know what, God, I think this might be for me. So one day I was actually going on a morning walk. I was getting ready for my surgery is actually in the following month. So I was in the crunch time of having to lose the 30 pounds I had to lose before surgery. If you didn't know, I had weight loss surgery. Here's a playlist about that. But yeah, so I was in crunch time of having to lose that 30 pounds before surgery. So I was in Atlanta doing what I had to do, right? So I was on my morning walk and I was just really having some time talking with God. And I was like, God, I feel your presence here. I feel that you're stewarding me here. You're shifting me into loving it here. But you know, I don't want to do anything without you or out of your will. So if this is where you want me to be, I need an undeniable sign that this is you. Now, interjection. All throughout 2021, God's number for me has been 222. When I am going through it, I see it everywhere. That is God's way and has been God's way of confirming that he is with me. So I'm like, okay, God, in my time back to my walk in Atlanta, I'm like, God, you know our number, show it to me. Literally, before I took another step, the Holy Spirit said, look to your left. I looked to my left and it was right there. Right on top, the garage number was 222. I had not walked this lot before this day. I literally had not seen it. There was no way that my subconscious could have been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna ask God to show me this number and I'm gonna ask him right next to the number. That wasn't me at all. That was nothing but God. I looked over right in that second. It was right there. I was like, okay, God, okay. I surrender. Atlanta it is. Fast forward, I get my surgery in December. You guys know the story that my mom had to move the week of my surgery. She's there the day of my surgery and 2 days later she moves to Dallas. So now the only people in LA are me and my uncle, and it's just feeling really like lonely in LA. So I'm like, okay, I got my surgery. It's December because I wasn't gonna move before my surgery. I'm not about to start that whole process over. Absolutely not. So I'm like, okay, January. It's the beginning of January. I'm healed enough. I'm like, it's time to move. God was like, no, it's not. Okay. So let me get this straight. You tell me I'm gonna move in 2020. You don't tell me where I'm moving until the end of 2021. Then I'm ready to move in 2022 and you telling me no. Why? What was the reason? What was the reason? Like, God, what is going on? And I'm like, okay, I need to pray about this. I need to see when God is going to release me to move to Atlanta. He said June. I said January, February. Did you say end of January? June. January, February, March, April, May. June. Did you say June? I'm like, bruh, that means 6 months of limbo. I was in LA and I was really hating it here because I started to feel like this LA was the thing that was keeping me from my joy. Like, my joy is in Atlanta. My happiness is in Atlanta. My peace is in Atlanta. My promise is in Atlanta. And just like God, in January, the word from Transformation Church, because I have my home church, but Transformation Church is my online church. The word for 2022 was, here is holy. So I was like, clearly, if God doesn't want me to move until June, there's something he needs to do and foster in me in LA now. So I started to submit myself to the here is holy. And I was like, God, okay, I'm set on moving and doing your will by moving in June. But please So you've already shifted my heart towards Atlanta. But right now my heart is turned against LA. So I need you to shift my heart to love this place. If here is holy, help me to see your holiness. Help me to see your hand. Help me to fall in love with this place again. I spent the majority of the first quarter of 2022 just falling back in love with LA. Driving down Crenshaw and just seeing different art and enjoying the palm trees and looking at the sunsets again and just really feeling love for this city all over again. I actually ended up feeling a little bit too much love because now I fell back, I fell in love with my church again, all over again. I fell back in love with my environment. I'm working one of the best jobs I've had in my life. And I'm just like, now leaving LA is really difficult. It's super difficult. I'm really nervous about it, but I see God's hand in this move so much. He's shifting so much. He's making ways out of no way. His hand is so just undeniably on this move that it is nothing but the will of God. So I'm submitting myself to this move. Right now, I filmed this video in front of my gallery wall because it is my favorite part of my house. It really got me through some rough times. Art got me through some really rough times. Being creative got me through some really rough times. These are photos I took, paintings I painted. I took this, took that, and painted that. My cousin drew that. All of this is just really a part of me. I got a really beautiful story about this. This wall kept my joy. And I'm filming this in front of it because this is like me saying, I'm grateful for this phase. I'm grateful for what kept me, but I'm ready to move on to what God has for me. There's so much about this move I want to tell you guys, and there's so much about this move I will tell you guys in the coming video. Right now, it's June 1st, and I'm filming this video to let you know that by the time you see this, I'll be out of LA. I will have already been moved. I'll be gone. So in the coming videos, you will see the road trip. You will see me coming to Atlanta, and by the end of July, you're gonna see the conversation of all that God did. Me going to Atlanta, let me be transparent. I'm going to stay at my cousin's house, but I'm gonna tell you guys the truth. I really feel like God is gonna have a place for me. I don't know where I'm moving to. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm literally just following God's plan, and I'm not stepping outside of his time or his order. So I feel like, low-key, just being honest, I feel a little foolish when people are like, oh my God, you going to Atlanta? What you gonna do? I don't know. What part of the city you gonna live in? I don't know. Oh, okay, what school you? I don't know. I have no idea. God is telling me in time, but God, I've seen his hand move so intentionally before that I'm not even questioning or doubting his move. I just can't wait to tell y'all what happens because I can't wait to know what happens. So I hope that you guys go along with me on this journey of what is God doing. I have no freaking clue, but we're gonna find out together, right? Because you don't like this video, you subscribe, and you don't put on that notification so you can know when the videos is coming out. I know you did. I know you did. So I'll see y'all in the next video next week. I love you guys so much. Bye, y'all.